Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 17th July 2021. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see first topic. First of all, in this lecture, we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let us see first topic now. Title says UP can't proceed with Kanwar Yatra amid pandemic, says Supreme Court. So regarding this Kanwar Yatra, we discussed in our day before yesterday's lecture, right? So this article which is mainly development regarding that Kanwar Yatra. So to understand this topic, we are going to discuss from basic onwards. So here if you see this image, these are these Kanvaryas. So they are mainly devotees of Shiva. So in this Kanwar Yatra, what happens? So this devotees of Shiva, they will mainly go on foot and they will bring Gangajal and they will do Abhishek in Shiv temples, that is local Shiva temples. So in this way, this yatra which is having a much Hindu relevance, and it is a one of important thing that is mainly seen in most of the states like UP and Uttarakhand, Bihar, etc. So now let us try to talk about this article in a very great detail. So this article will be important regarding art and culture point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 1. So let us see first context. If you see context, it mainly says that Supreme Court disagreed with UP's proposal to conduct this symbolic Kanwar Yatra and amid pandemic for compelling religious reasons. So this article mainly saying that Supreme Court mainly disagreeing about this UP's proposal to conduct this Kanwar Yatra. So because of this, Supreme Court mainly says that fundamental right of citizens across faith and their right to life surpassed by religious sentiments. So whenever this decision which is taken by UP government, Supreme Court says that fundamental rights of right to life and as well as faith of people are mainly surpassed by this religious sentiments. So this is context why it is in news. And now let us try to see some more details. If you see details, it mainly says that recently in 2020 also this Kanwar Yatra cancelled by government, mainly because at that time we had this lockdown. So because of this Kanwar Yatra mainly banned in 2020 also. So if you see here, mainly because of mid-threat of third wave of this COVID-19, Uttarakhand government recently cancelled this. But UP government decided to resume this annual ritual with this COVID-19 restrictions. So here these two states which come into picture here is Uttarakhand and second one is Uttar Pradesh. Uttarakhand recently banned this Kanwar Yatra. So already we discussed about that. But here UP government decided to resume or to go with this annual ritual and they are going to impose some COVID-19 restrictions. So if you're talking about North India, so North India we can see this type of festival it is very much significant in northern India. So here you need to talk about two states, that is UP and Uttarakhand. So Uttarakhand mainly banned this Kanwar Yatra this year also. And if you're talking about Uttarakhand, which is mainly taking some steps like heavy forces will be deployed mainly to stop this border yatra of these people who are going towards this Gomukh, etc. And next one is they are also providing tankers of holy water such that they can take that water and they can do for their religious purpose. They can use their that water for their religious purpose. And if you're talking about Uttar Pradesh government, so Uttar Pradesh mainly continues with yatra, and here state government has announced that they are going to follow some provisions and they are going to follow some mandatory RT-PCR test, and also they need to follow some COVID-19 regarding some protocol, like they need to follow social distancing, etc. here. So if you're talking here, so why this is very important, because recently because of religious gatherings, for example in Kumbh Mela, that led to second wave of this coronavirus. So because of this, Supreme Court uptook this matter as suo motu, and Prime Minister and as well as some medical experts, they warned against this large gatherings. Okay, and also urged to follow social distancing and as well as COVID-19 protocols. So if you're talking about some brilliant facts regarding this Kanvar, so it is annual pilgrimage of devotees of Shiva. So they will go to pilgrimage sites like Haridwar, Gomukh and as well as Gangotri, and these are places which are mainly seen in Uttarakhand, and they will go to this sacred places and they will fetch holy water of Ganga river, and this water will be mainly used to do abhishek for this Lord Shiva. So in this pilgrimage, lot of participants, they gather sacred water from Ganga and carry it across hundreds of miles to dispense. Okay, so this is about this yatra, and this yatra mainly related to churning of ocean of milk in Hindu Puranas. So in Hindu Puranas also this yatra had an important place. So whenever there was churning of this ocean of milk, so what happened, first poison has been released and later on Amrit was released. So whenever this poison which is released, then what happened, this is mainly causing very much heating to all the world. So because of this poison mainly inhaled by Lord Shiva. So as we all know that Ravana, he was one of important devotee, or we can say he was one of important disciple, not disciple exactly. So he is one of important devotee of Lord Shiva. So he bought water of Ganga and poured on Shiva's temple in Pura Mahadev. So because of this, it gave some relief to Shiva actually. So it helped mainly regarding releasing Shiva from negative energy of this poison. So because of this event is also very much related to our Hindu Puranas. Okay, so this is about this yatra. And now let us talk about next topic. Title says tiger numbers goes up in Amrabad Reserve. So this article mainly talking about this Amrabad Tiger Reserve. So this article will be important regarding environment and ecology, which mainly comes under this GS paper 3. So now let us try to talk about this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that the number of tigers in this Amrabad Tiger Reserve may have gone up since last census. So this last census mainly conducted in the year 2018. So now we can expect there is increase in number of these tigers in Amrabad Tiger Reserve. So if you are talking about some more details, it mainly says that latest annual wildlife census report during this phase 4 tiger monitoring. So this report mainly released by Forest Department, and this report mainly says that the number of big cats have definitely increased. Okay. So this report mainly says that number of these big cats have been increased. So against 12 tigers counted during all India tiger census in 2018. Now latest survey mainly enumerated that there are total of 14 individuals. That means 2 number of these individuals have been increased. So if you're talking about some facts regarding this Amrabad Tiger Reserve, so this Amrabad Tiger Reserve, which is also seen recently in news because of forest fires, right? So this Amrabad Tiger Reserve, which is mainly lies in Nallamalla Hills of Telangana, which mainly comes under Eastern Ghats. Okay, so it is India's second largest tiger reserve, next only to Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve. So earlier it is under part of this Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve, but after partition of this Andhra Pradesh into Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, so this Amrabad Tiger Reserve comes under this Telangana state. And next one is, it also harbors great biodiversity. It mainly consists of around 70 species of mammals and more than 300 avian varieties and 60 species of reptiles and thousands of insects. So these are some important things that you need to remember regarding this topic. And now let us see next topic. Title says High Court jabs for children without clinical trials to be disaster. This article mainly talking about giving of this COVID-19 vaccine to children. Children means who are mainly between age of less than 17, that is 12 to 17 years of age. So recently government announced that there is immediate vaccination for this 12 to 17 years of age group because of this COVID-19 pandemic, so almost schools have been shut down from since March 2020 onwards. So because of this, we are having many number of negative effects that are seen in children. Mainly to avoid that, we need to reopen our schools. So what is the criteria? So here we need to go for vaccination such that we can decrease transmission of this COVID-19 among children, right? So because of this, here mainly government which is talking about to vaccinate children who are having age between 12 to 17 years of age. Okay, so because of this is in news, and this topic will be important from health point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see this topic mainly talking about COVID-19 vaccine and children. So if you see context, it mainly says that the Delhi High Court said it would be a disaster if COVID-19 vaccines are administered to children without clinical trials. So without clinical trials, whenever we are administering this COVID-19 vaccination to children, it will be disastrous. So because of this, High Court mainly asking center to take some steps to inoculate below 18 years of age once the trial are over. So once trial is over, then only we can go for vaccination of these children who are between age of 12 to 17 years. And if you see some details, it mainly says that Delhi High Court, it mainly said that to do clinical trials, we need to go with these clinical trials. And if you're not going with these clinical trials, then it would be very much disaster. So if vaccines are administered without knowing data regarding what is the mechanism, what is the dose administration, so amount of prescribed dose, or what are the side effects that is happening. So if you are not knowing any information regarding this clinical trials, so if you are going for giving simply vaccines to children, so it may also lead to some negative effects on children. So it will be becoming one disaster. So because of this, here Delhi High Court ordered the center mainly to carry out this clinical trials, and after we got this clinical trials information, then only we can go for vaccination to these children. So why this thing mainly taken by Delhi High Court? Because High Court mainly hearing a petition which mainly filed on behalf of minor which sought directions for immediate vaccination for COVID-19 for age group of 12 to 17 years. So here recently Delhi High Court mainly hearing a petition. So this petition mainly filed behalf of a minor mainly sought directions for immediate vaccination for 12 to 17 age group. So because of this, here finally Delhi High Court clarified that we need to get some information regarding this clinical trials. So after this clinical trials, only based on that information, so we are going to go for vaccinating for children who are aging between 12 to 17 years of group. If you are going for vaccinating these people without any proper information or proper clinical trials, so it may lead to some other negative consequences. That will become a disastrous thing. So this is just of this topic, and now let us move on to next topic. Title says India's June oil imports hit their lowest in 9 months. So this article mainly talking about oil imports. So if you're talking about crude oil, so India is not self-sufficient in crude oil, but we are importing from other countries, especially from West Asian countries. We are getting this oil. So what happened recently in May and as well as June? So we saw second wave of this coronavirus, that is a large amount of surge. So because of this surge of the second wave of this coronavirus, so government mainly imposed lockdown to control the transmission of this coronavirus. So because of this, again government imposed partial restrictions or partial night curfews, and as well as we also came up with this COVID-19 imposed lockdowns. So because of this, what happened? Movement has been curtailed. So because of this, what happened? There is decrease in demand for oil in market. And even if you're talking about refineries, they are having already large amount of oil. So because of this, India's June oil imports mainly hit their lowest. So this is some gist. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 3 under economy. Now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that India's crude oil imports in June fell to their lowest in 9 months. So in 9 months here, June imports of this crude oil mainly decreased. So why? Because of lockdown restrictions in country, and as well as refiners, they curtailed purchases amid higher fuel inventories due to low consumption. So because of less demand, because of this COVID-19 pandemic, so with these refineries also, they are having a huge amount of inventories or higher fuel inventories. So because of this, the crude oil demand, which has mainly decreased here. And if you're talking about further more details, it mainly says that the world's third highest or largest or biggest oil importer and consumer. So India is world's third highest oil importer and consumer. So India shipped about 3.9 million barrels per day. Okay, but in May there is 7% of down of imports that is seen. And next one here is India is second major importer in Asia after China. And fuel demand mainly fell sharply in months of April and May, and government imposed sanctions or restrictions mainly to curb a second wave of infections. And refineries, they are also having of high fuel inventories. So what might be reasons? So first one here is a lockdown. Because of lockdown there is increase in demand. And next one is already refineries, they are having their inventory. And next one is India, it is the second major importer of crude oil after China in Asia. And next one is fuel demand mainly fell sharply in months of April and May because of this surge in this COVID-19. And because of this, government imposed restrictions and as well as sanctions to curb this second wave of this coronavirus. And refineries, they're also having high fuel inventories. So because of all these reasons, it mainly contributing for lesser amounts of this oil imports in India. So if you're talking about imports and some details, so crude oil imports between April and June, which mainly rose by 11.7% here. And last month, Iraq mainly stayed as top oil supplier to India. So last month, Iraq mainly stayed as a top oil supplier to India, and it mainly followed by Saudi Arabia. Third one is UAE, and fourth one is Nigeria. So these are some important things that you need to remember regarding this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says China starts long awaited carbon trading scheme. So this article mainly talking about carbon trading scheme. So this will be important from environment and ecology point of view, which mainly comes under this GS paper 3. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So first let us start with context. So if you see context, it mainly says that India introduced its long awaited emissions trading system. So this emissions trading system, it is a key tool to drive down climate change, which is mainly causing by these greenhouse gases, and also to become carbon neutral by 2060. So what is carbon neutrality? So how much amount of carbon dioxide which is released is equal to amount of carbon dioxide which mainly absorbed. It is called as carbon neutrality. So the important aim of China, it is to attain carbon neutrality by 2060. Okay. So if you see context in detail, it mainly says that China mainly introduced its long awaiting policy, that is emissions trading system. So this emission trading system, which is an important key tool mainly to drive our climate change causing greenhouse gas emissions, and also mainly to attain this carbon neutrality by 2030. So if you're talking about some more details, it mainly says that here China, which is mainly aiming to achieve this carbon neutrality by 2060. And next one is, if you're talking about why this is a decision which is taken by China, because China, it is the world's biggest carbon emitter, and it mainly seeking to have a global leadership role on climate crisis. So because of this, China mainly it is going to participate this, and as well as it want to attain this carbon neutrality figure by 2060. And if you're talking about some more facts here, so this emission trading scheme which will set pollution caps for big power businesses for first time. So for first time here, China came up with this type of a scheme, and this scheme mainly allows to buy right to pollute from others with a lower carbon footprint. That means, for example, if you see I have a company and my target it is not to exceed 100 units of carbon, let us take this, but I am emitting only 52, and that means 48% that I have leverage, right? So because of this, for this 48 thing, we are going to come with a contract with another person which is mainly releasing 140, okay, 140 units of this GHG, that is greenhouse gas emission, but limit is 100, then this 40 will be traded with me. Okay, so in this way, this carbon trading will mainly works, and market will initially covers 2162, big power producers, and they are mainly generating about 7th of global carbon emissions from burning fossil fuel. So from burning fossil fuel, they generate mainly 7th of global carbon emissions, and this is according to International Energy Agency of China. So if you're talking about facts here, it mainly says that, so what is the meaning of this carbon trading? So carbon trading means, in simple, I want to say, like, it is a market based system. So important aim, it is mainly focusing on how to reduce this greenhouse gases. So these greenhouse gases are mainly contributing for this global warming, right? So this is mainly talking about how to reduce this greenhouse gases. So now let us try to talk about how this carbon trading will works. So carbon trading mainly allows countries to reduce their own carbon emissions and also to sell the saved emissions of other to other countries. Okay, so for example, I said, like, I have a company and I am emitting about 52 units of GHG, but target here is, let us take this hypothetical example of 100. That means 48 are remaining with me. So for this 48, if I coming with a ties with another company, and that company may give money, or it can also transfer technology, and as well as this company will also invest in our company. Okay, so in this way, this carbon trading mainly done. So this carbon trading mainly allows countries to reduce their own carbon emissions, and it will be allows to sell the second saved emissions to other countries, mainly for money and as well as technology transfer and also project investments, etc. So in this way, this carbon markets, they existed under even Kyoto Protocol, and these markets have been replaced by this Paris Agreement in 2020. And if you want to understand this, I will give you an example. So for example, if you are taking like developed country like USA, so USA, whenever it is unable to meet its reduction target, it can provide money and as well as technology for companies which are mainly not reaching their targets here. Okay, for example, tidal energy project in Indonesia, and in this way it is mainly claiming reduction of emissions. Okay, so this is about this carbon trading. So in return, second country that will get money or as well as technological transfers and even investments here. So this will be advantages for this second. Okay, so this method is called as a carbon credits actually. So this is just of this topic. I hope it is clear. Now let us see the next topic. Title says overdue review. So this article mainly talking about this sedition law. So we discussed about this sedition law number of times, right? So now let us see some important dimension which is given in this topic. So this topic will be important regarding GS paper 2 under polity. And this topic will be important from mains point of view. So if you see, recently Supreme Court expressed concern, like, so there are number of cases which are mainly filed under this sedition cases, and we can say there is a misuse of this sedition cases which is very high, which is mainly seen. So in this context, Supreme Court indicating its intention to reconsider the sedition provision of IPC. So because of this, Supreme Court, it need to come up with higher constitutional bench mainly to reconsider judgment of this Supreme Court, which is given in Kedarnath Singh case of 1962. So Supreme Court mainly says that, recently in yesterday's lecture we studied that, why does section 124A continue in statute book over after 75 years of independence? So actually this section 124A, which is talking about sedition, which is colonial law actually. So Britishers, they mainly came up with this law mainly to control or mainly to curtail this Indian freedom struggle. So even though now we got independence and it is about 75 years we got independence, but again this colonial law, that is section 124, it is in our Indian statute. So recently our CJI mainly said that, so why it is necessary? Is it necessary to have this law in our constitution even though we got independence, right? So here CJI mainly said that there is rampant misuse by police across the country that is seen regarding this section. And even this colonial government used this law to suppress freedom movement. Even Gandhiji and Bal Gangadhar Tilak, they are also arrested under this act. So Supreme Court mainly said that this section has been frequently and wrongly used, made to suppress dissent and to taint opponents with the tag of being anti-national, and as well as to criminalize stringent political criticism. So in this with this section which is mainly wrongfully and as well as frequently used section. So this section 124A which is inherent potential misuse. So there are many cases which are mainly filed under this also. They have been struck down without because there is no proper evidence. And if you're talking about recent cases of sedition which mainly used for three political reasons. So first one is to suppress criticism and protest against particular policies and projects of government. And next one is to criminalize dissenting opinion from rights defenders and as well as right defenders and activists, lawyers and as well as journalists. So in this way this section is mainly used. And next one is to settle political scores. So in these three things this recent sedition which is mainly used much. And in 1962 Kedarnath judgment, Supreme Court upheld constitutional validity of this law. Yes, we need this law because whatever the fundamental rights we are providing, that is not absolute. So we need this type of law. And here in this Kedarnath judgment, it also attempted to restrict its scope for misuse. Court mainly held that unless it mainly accompanied by incitement or call for violence or criticism, so that can be called as sedition. But if there is no violence or incitement, then that will not come under sedition. So this is the famous Supreme Court judgment in this Kedarnath case of 1962. So what is the need? Need here is we need to reconsider this 1962 verdict and recent judgment. We are coming up with recent judgments regarding enhancing or expanding scope of fundamental rights. So because of this we need to reconsider this 1962 verdict. So this is finally conclusion of this topic. And now let us see next article. So before seeing next article, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. So if you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial and also highly economical course, that is current affairs package along with mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful to clear UPSC 2022? So one thing you need to remember here is before entering into your examination hall, you need to know at least 1.5 years current affairs. And this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 years current affairs in a comprehensive manner. So why you need to focus on this current affairs? In prelims, in mains and even interview, you can get questions from this current affairs. So mastering of current affairs is very important to clear UPSC. And next one is mains answer writing practice. Many students or especially freshers or beginners ignore this. So they might be thinking like after completing NCERTs we are going to start that. After completing some basic standard books we are going to start that. As you all know, syllabus for this UPSC is very vast. You are not going to complete that within a time. So because of this you will be ignoring this answer writing skills, answer writing practice. So because of this, even though if you clear prelims, you cannot clear mains without this proper answer writing skills. Here in this course, we are mainly focusing on how to improve your answer writing skills. And next one is we also conducting prelims test on every Sunday and we provide a video explanation part. So in this way, this course which is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. Details of this course which is given in description box. So please see that once. And if you want to talk to me directly regarding this course, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay. Now let's come back and let us see next topic. Title says India needs a renewed healthcare system. So this article mainly talking about renewal of our healthcare system. So central theme mainly says that recently we know that portfolios changing happened, right? So because of this, now a new union health minister, he needs to focus on core lessons from pandemic and we need to rebuild trust in public health. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 2 under health and this topic will be important from mains point of view. So now let us try to see this topic. So if you see context, it mainly says that recent cabinet reshuffle happened. So in this recent cabinet reshuffle, new union health minister, he came into existence and now there is a need to focus on core lessons from pandemic and we need to focus on how to rebuild trust in public health. So if you're talking about concerns, if you're taking a case study of two states, first one is Maharashtra and second one is Kerala. If you're comparing these two states, in these two states we are experiencing high number of cases. So if you're talking about fatality rates in Kerala and Maharashtra, in Kerala it is just 0.48%. When we are comparing with Maharashtra, it is 2.04%. So what are the reasons for divergence? So if you're talking about health system in Kerala, so we can see there is effectiveness of public health system in Kerala. In Kerala, there are about 2.5 times more government doctors than compared to that of Maharashtra. And in Kerala, there is also high proportion of government hospital beds. And in Kerala, they are mainly allotting much more funds for public health emergencies or public health every year. So in Maharashtra, large private health sector is present and weak public health system. So because of this, number of people who are mainly living in this Dharwadi area, okay, that is mostly some area, they are not affordable to go to this large private hospitals. And they are, if you're talking about public health system, it is very much weak in Maharashtra. So because of this is one important reason that led to increase in fatalities in Maharashtra. And next one is, if you are talking about healthcare services, so we need robust government healthcare services. So whenever we are having this robust government health services, that will be mainly helpful for more effective outreach and also helpful for timely testing, and also it will be helpful for early case detection, and we can also go for more rational treatment for this COVID-19 patients. So together all these, whenever we are having most effective outreach and timely testing and as well as early detection of cases, and we are having rational treatment, then that will leads to fatality rates which can be decreased. Okay, so this is the thing which mainly see in Kerala. And here this article clearly says that this pandemic provides a clear message regarding neglect of public health systems. So whenever we are neglecting our public health system, it is having an impact on our health that will lead to increase in loss of life. So in this context, what is need? Need here is many states which are mainly do not have proper oxygen sources. So as you know, in this second wave of this coronavirus, we faced extreme difficult mainly regarding this oxygen supply, right? So because of this, here we need to invest more in our oxygen sources because we are expecting third wave of this coronavirus in October month. And even we need to focus on our national health mission. So whatever the public health systems are there, we need to upgrade those public healthcare systems rapidly and massively, and we need to give topmost priority for these public services than compared to that of these private hospitals. And in urban areas, we are having this national urban health mission. So we need to increase allocation. So till now, whatever allocation which is there, that is less than 20 rupees. So because of this, we need to improve our allocation for this national urban health vision. And we need to regulate rates and as well as standards of care in private hospital or private sector. So expansion of these private players in tier 2 and tier 3 locations beyond these metropolitan cities, that will affords attractive investment opportunities, but it is not providing any benefits for poor people. Okay, so now this article finally says that therefore it is a very much important or critical to rebuild people trust in public health system. So whenever we are rebuilding trust among these public health systems, so it will mainly helpful for from overcoming this COVID-19 vaccination hesitancy also. And we need to deal with current wave of this COVID-19. So this can be done mainly by strengthening and as well as promoting healthy behavior. Okay. And next one is, what is a way forward? What can be done? So if you see way forward, we can go for strengthening of public health systems. It is very much important now. And we need to regulate private healthcare and as well as the standard of procedure they are following in these private hospitals. And we need to prevent further privatization of healthcare sector. So this is the gist of this topic. Okay. So apart from these topics, you can also see two important editorials. First one, it is regarding UP's new population policy. Already from June 11th onwards, we are discussing that topic, right? So because of this, if you go to that, you can easily understand that. And there is also one more article regarding COVID-19, okay, COVID-19 vaccination. So you can also easily read that, okay. So these are some important editorials and articles which appear in today's Hindu newspaper. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And please stay tuned for further videos. Thank you so much.